welcome back for another episode, Fred and Frank. I'm going to do things just a bit different on this one. I think I mentioned before, I'm like way behind on the videos compared to the work that I've done. So I'm going to get a lot less detailed on this one, and I'm going to blow through everything that I've done up till now. Well, everything that's on the computer, I probably got 2-3 days, just a little bit of footage that's still in the camera. But other than that, this will bring us incompletely up to date, up to like last Thursday, whatever. So I'm just going to get you right to it, and I'm just going to blow through as much as we can, and we'll talk about it at the end. pulling up here. This is a super tight fit. I'm probably going to do a little sanding just to make a little room for glue. It's so tight. Well, looks like a car body. Frankenstein. No paint, Frank. Alright, so for the next facet, what I'm going to do is I am going to connect the outside of the center to the outside of this one. The Bubinga, I'm going to cross that span, so edge of Bubinga, so both towards the outside. And Alright, so if you look in there, this little area, I don't know if you can see it, where I curved that in, that looks really good. I purposely stayed away from the edges with the glue. You know, people are always going for squeeze out. Normally people are using way too much glue and tons of squeeze out, you gotta clean it all. I'm bad at cleaning, and I will admit that. So I do things to avoid the need for cleaning, to avoid doing the cleaning. So, think that's going to be plenty strong right there with the amount of glue that I put on there. It's in there. So all we can do is wait. So I got this one ready to do the binding. So now this one's going to be a little more tricky. I'm going with Wenge binding. This is about 25 thousandths thick, so 3 layers would get me to 75 thousandths thick, which is right in the ballpark of what the binding is on Fred over there. So what I got to determine, based on the thickness of the Bubenga on the top, is how far down I want the binding to go. So I got to figure out that dimension, cut this into strips, and then start planning laying it out where I'm going to start the binding. So on this one, the neck fits really tight, so I don't have to add anything like I did on Fred over there. I modified my template, it worked perfect. So I'm not going to bind this section in here. I mean, the bottom would get routed out for the pickup anyway. But I'm not going to do these 2 stripes. I'm going to keep it like this, where it meets the neck. So it's going to go from this corner to this corner, all the way around. Once I determine my width, the length of this all the way is definitely longer than to get all the way around. So I think I'm going to cut, 1 or 2 pieces that are maybe, 2-3 inches, maybe 6 inches, just so I could see if I could finagle it little by little and see if I can get a bend like that. I don't think that's happening, so I think I will have a seam there. So I'll probably start on this corner. I don't think any of this is too tight all the way around to here. And then do this section after. Then it's just a matter, is that the right way, or should I do this one first? I gotta look. If I do this one second, the end grain part will be facing down in the playing position, be more hidden. If this thing is hanging on the wall, I mean, I guess they're about equal. So I think I go with the long one first. Right now, after any surfacing that happened, my Bubenga is at about that's right about there. 1/4 inch. It's 252, so 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna want to definitely go farther than that. That might be a little big. That's 0.4 right there. Let's see, 350. Maybe like a 325. 325 looks like it could work. I'm gonna check something. So I just checked the binding on Fred, and that was, I used plastic binding that has a determined length, so it's kind of like something that's a standard. I had 3 stripes this way thickness, and then I added 2 thin stripes to the bottom, so it's black, and then you got a little like white pinstripe before the final black, so that made the height a little bit bigger. And I'm coming in just barely over a 1/4 inch, like 250 something. So I think 325 is going to look good for this. Because I do have a belly carve in here, I'm also going to round off this section where, if you're sitting down where it hits your leg, isn't as square, just for comfort. And I had this, so I'm not going to bind the back. So adding a little extra thickness here, because I'm not going to have binding here, it's not going to take over and get too big. So I think 325 is what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to get at least 1 strip of this cut. Look at what my length is to get all the way around, and play with some of the cutoffs. So I'm looking at Fred here, and the way this top looks, it's kind of like saying to me I should go like Relic on this one, kind of Relic. There's a couple things that happened while I was doing it. One, the biggest thing, because this wood is so eaten up, it's so soft, and then the epoxy is hard. When I was cleaning up just the binding, getting it flush with a scraper, I came across epoxy and then into a soft section and gouged a bunch out. So I tried just tapering this down, and it looked kind of cool, but the gouge wasn't totally out yet. I was trying to smooth it with a scraper, and with real minimal pressure, just dug in there again. And I'm looking at it, kind of looks cool. And there was some scratches here that just, and stuff that looks good for what this is. And then after I got my pickups deeper, some more scratches came that I was going to have to sand out. And I'm looking and I'm like, you know, I should go Relic on this one, but kind of Relic. So what I'm going to do is just this plane will be Relic, but from the back everything's going to be like just, you know, sanded properly and, you know, clean finish, good finish. I'm not going to have like nicks in the neck and stuff like that. Possibly I might do something on the front of the headstock, but not the back. You know, tuners might get it, might not. I haven't played around with any ideas for... I mean, I've seen videos of different things that people have done, but I haven't tried any with taking like chrome and using you know, the muriatic acid, or some people do stuff with vinegar, blah, 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 different stuff. So I'm going to have to play around with that. But what I'm going to do for the first step, I've got this, and it's really old. This is StuMat Red Mahogany lacquer. Pretty sure it's going to spit on the way out. I taped this off. I wasn't worried about getting it perfect. I got it actually stepped up high. I only went this far around. I'm going to very lightly just kind of mist this on there, and I'm hoping it does spit, just so it, you know, I mean, not like huge spit. We'll see what happens. And it's going to be real light, but I'll put a little more than I'm planning. I'll sand it back a bit, and then I will take certain main wear areas. So when you're playing the guitar, your arm would be in this direction. So more of the red would be taken off here. Your pick hits here, and it's normally like in an arc fashion. So there might be like some line scratches that are taking that out, or just some overall wear. And just play around with those ideas. I'm also going to do some other things to beat up the front. I might do something like with a chain and stuff like that. So I just tape this off. I'm going to spray only from one direction because I'm going so minimal, so I didn't even tape that side because it won't hit it when I go this way. If it doesn't get all the way to the edge because this is stepped up, it'll be fine. So I'm going to try that and to see where that takes it. All right, so I guess this brings us to the end of another one. You saw everything, so I guess this talk's a little irrelevant, right? Well, maybe it was a little hazy. So I'm just going to go through a couple things, and now that we're basically caught up, I could actually, as I talk about the guitars, show you the guitars. So we're going to start out with Frank. This is what we're looking like right now. Right now, the neck is not glued in. It's just pressed in there, but it's a real tight fit. I mean, you can see, I mean, if I try to do anything, it doesn't, you know, you got to pull it out. So at the beginning of this episode, I didn't even have the body blank really put together. I had the core of it as one piece. I didn't have the top and bottom on it, so I got that all glued up. I got all my stripes in. I did the neck pocket. I did the binding all the way around. I'm kind of saying this backwards now because I started on the other one, but I did do the Wenge binding because Fred's binding went smooth. And it went surprisingly well. I wasn't sure how that was going to go, and it just, I mean, binding-wise, I mean, that actually went pretty much flawless. I did a lot of work on the neck. It was, before it started, I mean, it was already cut to shape this way, you know, in the headstock, you know, but it was all flat. So I did all the contouring on the back, the volute. I made the fretboard, and I did the cool, you know, Van Halen design, you know, for 3579, 1517, 1921. I thought that was a really unique thing on top of the uniqueness of doing the signature, you know, 2-wood fretboard thing. It's just, I don't know what to call it. I'm just going to call it my signature. So I put the Van Halen, like the ring style logo that was debuted on the 5150 album on the 12th fret. There is nothing on 24 because that is where I put the access for the spoke wheel truss rod. When I did the neck on Fred, I went into the 22nd and I got real close to revealing the route at the end of the fretboard here. So I figured go 24, it gives me an extra, I didn't even measure it, but looking at here, it's about maybe 3/4 of an inch. So that just helped up here if this gets shortened, you know, just for different designs, it gives me more room that way. There was no reason to have it here compared to here. So I just moved it down, figured it was a better design. So as far as this guy, yeah, I did that also on the back. I don't know if you could see there. I've also got the ring design on the back. I did it subtle. I added a little bit of gold to the epoxy. So the way it works in the olive, it's, you know, it kind of blends in, but you can't miss it, but it's not like if I would have put black in here against this. All right, so now I'm going to show you the other one. So here we got Fred. This one actually, I mean, the neck is glued in. I have the routing for the pickups done. I've got all the routing for the Floyd Rose also done. I've got a cavity in the back. I've got my holes up here for my original plan was going to be single volume, 3-way switch, and that's it. No tone. But I'm actually going to change it to the first knob will be global volume, and then I'm going to do a blend control on this one because on a bass that always is the most versatile knob on the bass. The blend, you're infinitely variable with a knob. So, I mean, the adjustment that you can get out of one thing right there, I think will be very cool. So I'm going to be doing that, I think, on both guitars. Either way, the cavity will be big enough. If I don't like it, I can always put a switch in there. The other thing I did that was kind of cool on this one, I just want to experiment. I've done this once before. The way that I did the output jack here, I'm going to use a regular like jack that you would put like in a pickguard, you know, that it has a nut on the outside to hold it in, like something if you had a plate on the outside or something like that. Not the long barrel type that you would normally see here to get to the cavity. So I drilled a bigger hole through the back, made a plug, and that plug is only less than a 1/4 inch thick, and then drilled the hole that's for the jack itself, so I could put a regular jack with a nut on the outside on the end without putting a metal plate there. I hate the metal plates. A lot of people use them. Nothing against people that use them. I just don't like them. So I think, that kind of takes us. Yeah, the one last thing that I did commit to the idea of doing a Relic guitar on this one, but it's just going to be on the front surface here. I told you, I might do the front surface here. I won't touch any of the fretboard itself. I don't want anything that doesn't feel good. I want the neck to feel good. So I don't want it, like gouged up in the way of what I'm going to do to the body. I've already done some. I'm not going to get you a close-up because that'll be on the next episode. So that takes us to the end of this. Now we're all caught up. And from here on out, hopefully every episode I can end it like this, showing you like the final product of what got done this episode. So back to regular episodes after this.